It's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Morayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Mariam Longe. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I feel like you didn't pronounce my surname properly.
Longe.
Okay, I thought you said Longe today.
Yeah, and the Bone Street.
Yes, so
Brown hair, Bone Street.
Brunettes
Nice.
today.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm fine. So on 2nd of September is World Vultures Day.
Nice.
And I have been invited for an event that's been hosted by NCF and Wild Aid Africa Fund and Punch newspaper. I consider it a big deal, you know, to be so recognized. I'll be one of the 3 speakers on the day, and so
you were a
online
speaker
on Twitter Spaces. And so yes, I'm looking forward to having that conversation. And to be honest, modesty aside, it gives someone pleasure to be recognized for the work that you do. So I'm excited.
Well done. We're happy. It's just a start.
Yeah,
So much
global.
more to come.
But in the next few years, when they are doing World Vultures Day on a global scale, they have to bring you to come and speak about it.
How you doing, Tokwe?
I'm doing good. I wore my outfit and I felt like I was a secondary school student representing Brown House. So I was like, let me do something with my hair to sort of like look more.
I like the outfit, though.
Yeah.
So cute.
Thank you.
Oh, you're off the rack.
Off the Rack was styled by TVC Wardrobe.
Oh, TVC.
I haven't spoken about my real estate in a while. Let's say
Yes,
don't
you
forget.
have.
In case you have forgot.
Every day. You talk about
Okay. Let me just remind you again that it's salary month and
Muntale.
Muntale. We have houses, we have land for you that don't understand.
How you doing, Toby?
I'm very well, thank you. I was just blown away by your dressing.
Really?
Blown away.
Yes, because it's not your regular. You're used to this funky looking.
In recent times, the talk you met, yeah.
Oh, yes. So I'm actually very fine. I just really want to speak about the 3rd mainland bridge. I don't know how many people have passed recently with the potholes. And
Terrible.
it's so terrible because sometimes you can just be driving like this and a car swerves in front of you.
Yeah.
And it's really very, very dangerous to think that they fixed it just a couple of years before now. And this is happening again.
So they fixed the joints.
Yes, that was
but the actual road
resurfaced
itself,
it.
I didn't
It
see,
then.
maybe that those areas, but you're right. Those
It's
the
terrible,
road is really terrible.
like very deep, like somebody dug it out.
And it's everywhere. They're like scattered.
So
So you can't even really.
thank you for highlighting it. It's really serious.
Yeah. So we're having a conversation with my kids concerning school resumption next week. They told me to buy a new lunch bag, new this. I said, Auntie, let us review what we need to buy. I started looking at everybody, and Michelle was so insisting that I have to buy a new lunch bag. And the thing was just ripped a bit in front, and the inside silver lining came out.
Okay,
and she
has to
felt,
go.
no.
The silver lining is
As long as it's zipping and you can carry it.
No, the silver lining keeps the food warm now.
You'll be all right.
Is it not flask?
Healthy concerns as well, my sis, please.
So we're advocating, please.
Me, I said, just
No,
remove-
when that silver line one is gone, then you get another one. In fact, even if it's nice on
I was
the
hoping you were
outside,
supporting me.
on the
You know
inside,
she's healthy on the healthy level.
I was saying, their school bag. I said, as long as it's not torn.
Yeah, we're
sew
keeping
it
our
right
school
back.
bag. We're keeping-
And you know,
No, I
the
know
person I
the
need
school
to change for is Elizabeth because she's going to secondary school. She needs a bigger bag.
Yeah.
Bags are really small. So every
Girl
other
bag.
person, you manage. Hey, I'm not buying any new thing this September. Let's go on a quick break.
Don't buy it now, it will come up
When
again.
we come back, we'll look at the front pages of the paper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Okay, we're going to start with the nation. Subsidy cut with windfall. Government saves 1.83 trillion in 2 months. Lagos Ibadan Expressway ready next month. NNPP's BOT suspends Kokonso. Ogbuko is chair of new NDDC board. CGN earns more than VP. Senate President says Ramfak. Stock market hits highest level. Why I won't beg federal government to release me, says Kanu. Governors lead APC battles in Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa. Expect heavy rains in Ondo, Ogun, Osun, 26 other NIMET alerts. And reports Lagos is 5th best African city to live and work in. Okay, which story are we starting with in the nation? Who wants to go first?
Okay, I have just a short story. We have the picture of the Minister Works, Dave Umahi, and he's on a tour of, the different projects, and he has said that the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway will be completed in September. He said that, but the interchanges the work on that will continue beyond September. And he explained that some of the reasons, or among the reasons for the delay in the completion of the road was funding, as well as payment of the compensation to property owners affected by the construction. And he also praised the contractors handling the road project, so he's for doing a good job. And he's also said that henceforth, roads will be built with concrete because of its strength and durability for up to 50 years. Yeah, and that's it really, to say that, you know, by next month, we should be sure that the Lagos Ekpan Expressway will be done. I think the Lagos inward, is the outwards they're still working on. So,
okay, so let me take the major headline. You want to go first? You want to go next?
I wanted to just give a comment. I traveled via that route, and I saw that Ibadan to Lagos is fixed, maybe up until this beggar place.
Lagos.
Good. The federal government has saved 1.83 trillion less than 3 months after it stopped the payment on subsidy. According to the source, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, has briefed the heads of revenue-generating agencies on what the government plans to do with the savings. They said that the Tinubu's administration plans to save money in order to execute projects without relying on borrowing. So they're not going to be waiting to borrow from any international organization. They're hoping that this revenue they got from the savings will be able to use for other infrastructural development. Also, they also agreed at the FEC meeting that the president told his ministers that his administration will rather create a stable macroeconomy environment than borrow money to implement projects. So these savings, obviously, the government is telling us that they hope to use it for proper infrastructural development of the nation rather than borrowing.
Yes, NIMET, which is the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, has predicted that there will be thunderstorms and strong wind within the next 3 days. It highlighted that 26 states and the Federal Capital Territory would be witnessing these heavy thunderstorms and that we should prepare. We had seen that a few days ago, we had a representative from NEMA come to speak with us, stating that they are ready for this outpour of rain, and really just to sensitize the populace, stating that there will be some thunderstorms according to NIMET, and that we should get prepared for the coming days.
So
I just wanted to make a comment that sometimes when we hear this, do we also ask, like, how does this affect aviation, transportation as well? Do they come together to have a conversation?
How is affecting real estate? Because we thought we would have August break and be able to do buildings, but we didn't have any August break this year. This August, there was no break. Okay. It was raining all through August. So agriculture too is being affected. All right. CJN, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, and as well as they say they earn more than the Vice President, Senate President, says Ramfac. So Ramfac is responding to the clamor for judges to get more pay. We remember that the NBA chair, I want to be sure, is it president? The president of the NBA came on our show, spoke about it. The president mentioned that we know that it hasn't been reviewed since 2007, and there will be a review. But even based on the current earnings of judges, their salary is more than the vice president's salary. Their salary is also more than the Senate president's salary. So the NBA proposed a 200% pay rise for jurists, which includes our judges, while the Ramfac are hinting towards the 114% pay rise that is being recommended by the Commission for Public Office Holders. And they broke down the fact that they understand the NBA had dropped a document stating that Nigeria as a country pays the least to judges across Africa, and they detailed what other judges across Africa are earning. So they also mentioned that you cannot expect the judges to be independent when they are not financially independent. It can't work. So we're hoping that with this increase, when it comes up, it will affect the judges as well. But we realize that judges their only source of income is salary, while for lawmakers and other people, they hear that there are other ways they have compensations. And
even if they earn more than the president or the vice president or the Senate president, it shouldn't matter, because we need them to actually
be independent.
Very fully independent. Yeah. So be it. Moving on now to the Punch. Few queues hit Lagos, others as thieves vandalize pipelines. Lagos Ibadan Expressway FG plans September inauguration. I never diverted local government funds of 10.8 billion bailout, says Governor Abiodun. Man unleashes dog on policeman to evade arrest. NNPP divided over Tinubu Atiku factions, suspend Kwankwaso and others. Niger, Algeria demands 6-month transition from junta. And Cameroon dam opening 700 billion naira CBN farmers loan under threat in flood states. Okay, let me start with the Niger. So the Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf on Tuesday said that the country is proposing an initiative to resolve the political crisis going on in Niger. According to them, they are proposing a 6-month transition plan as opposed to what the junta had requested for 3 years. And they're also saying that as part of their initiative, they're going to be seeking United Nations Conference to restore constitutional order, propose guarantees for all sides in the crisis, and host a conference on development in the Sahel region as soon as the agreement is made. The Attaf himself was recently at the West African states. Most of the countries we have talked to are against military action, and they're all in support of democracy and support of the deposed governor and the president. Leaders of the Economic Community of West African states have also agreed that democracy should be restored within the shortest period of time, and they cannot accept junta's request of 3 years transition. Okay?
Yeah, so yesterday I had taken a...
Before I take your story, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. Any story in Punch?
Yes, so yesterday I took a story where the chairman of Ijebu East Local Government Area of Ogun State, Mr. Wale Adedayo, had alleged that the current governor of Ogun State had diverted about over 10 billion naira bailout funds that was meant for local government. And then the governor has responded in a statement by his chief press secretary. He said that local government fund is being, first of all, of course, he denied the allegation. And then he says the local government funds is being handled by the constitutionally recognized Joint Account and Allocation Committee, that's JAC. And he says JAC members ensure that council chairmen get the required allocations for optimal performance. He also added that over 5 billion was shared among 20 local government areas in the state at the JAC meeting held a week ago. He said between May 2023, when the governor was sworn in for second term, and July 2023, JAC shared among 20 local governments. One was a little over 4.5 billion naira, and another a little over 4.4 billion, and then another 4.497 billion was shared respectively on the first line charges, and just last week, another 5.2 billion was shared among the local governments for the month of August. And, you know, just his own response to that allegation. And he says that JAC has the mandate to meet every month to ensure that allocations to local governments are discussed and properly presented for fund allocation.
Okay, so I have the story of the man who unleashed dog on policeman to evade arrest. So the man's name is Gabriel Olayiwola, and he had had an issue with his neighbor and destroyed his neighbor's vehicle. And so his neighbor went to report to the police. And upon return, the policeman came to arrest him. But unfortunately, Gabriel unleashed his dog on the policeman. And the dog had beaten the policeman on his shoulder, and he sustained some major injuries. And so it was now a court case, right? And currently the man is being arraigned for allegedly unleashing his German Shepherd dog on the police officer. It was granted bail when the first went, but the court adjourned the case till September 22nd, 2023.
Please, we need to talk about the vandalism. So many people that live in Lagos yesterday, over this week, have experienced, even from the weekend, queues to buy fuel. Many filling stations in Lagos and Ogun were shut down. The Punch reporter said that they did not confirmed the same information from Abuja, though, but a few filling stations had no fuel. That even most NNPC depots that you feel should have more supply are operating skeletally. That means they're not at full dispensing capacity. And this is blamed on we, the people, Nigerians, that are vandalizing the satellite depots. So there's fuel scarcity based on the fact that the depots have not been loaded. They've not loaded any products in 3 weeks. And the problem was from July, they had said they were having incessant vandalism, attacks on the depot, and so there was no loading, and that is what we are receiving, the effect we are seeing now. The managers at the Ejibo Satellite Depot said that they've raised alarm over the activities within the pipeline area. Vandals are attacking the pipeline. They also mentioned that Ekpan Satellite Depot is also being constrained. So many of our depots, satellite depots, are being vandalized, and we're already spending so much on fuel. We are the ones now making scarcity happen, and we are the ones that would change it. If we want to even get security officials to start manning pipeline, as in how much will fuel cost at that time. And this is, I don't know, I'm trying to get what the government is going to do to ensure this, but they were like, there's no reason for this scarcity in actual sense. It's not a case of scarcity, but it is, yes, it's 100% man-made. Vandalism.
Okay. Moving on now to the Vanguard, how a federal government can execute roadmap for economy. Insecurity, we are discussing with bandits to drop arms, says Niger governor. Niger governor. Governorship Campaign Council, APC reverses, disowns list with Wike's name. 4.2-kilometer runway, FG votes 825.8 million naira to compensate Abuja indigents. Lagos Cabinet Obasa eyeballs Sanwo-Olu over uncleared nominees. Banks, insurance firms, others contribute 1.72 trillion to economy. And Zenith Bank names Juliet Ehimwan, non-executive director. Okay, Hurricane Wike is at it again. So the Minister of FCT, Wike, has resolved months-long disputes regarding the establishment of a second runway for the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. If you recall, then the indigents there had revolted, saying that resisted the government from having another 4.2-kilometer runway because they did not compensate them. So he had a meeting, he meeting with all the troublemakers within the community, and he assured them, in fact, he gave an immediate directive for their payment to be made, all the compensation. Secondly, he had directed the immediate payment of the 825 million naira in compensation to all the affected landowners. Speaking on the resolution, he said, we have been able to resolve amicably with the community, and contractors will now move to site. So the FCT, through the FG, through the Federal Capital Development Authority, FCDA, will release the money approved for compensation and settlement of those who are there. So why would it take for a new minister to come in to do the right thing, you know?
And then you just call them troublemakers. Meanwhile, you've not paid your own, you've not
done your own part.
Yeah.
Yes, so Niger State, the governor is yesterday talking to journalists. He had gone to Abuja to meet with the Minister for Information and National Orientation, and also with the president. And he was talking to journalists, and he said that the state is in discussion with bandits, so that they have extended an olive branch to the bandits to drop their arms for amnesty, and we're discussing with them to see how we can solve the problem amicably. He says this is not negotiation. There's a difference. This is them speaking to them now, you know, and asking them, appealing, because for the security and peace of the area. But he's also saying that militarily they are ready if the bandits do not accept this olive branch. He also said that he was there to talk about how the state can collaborate or partner with the federal government to develop its vast agricultural potentials. He says Niger State has 8.6 million hectares of land, with 6,000 square kilometers of arable land and 4 hydropower dams. We are 10% of the total size of Nigeria. We are poised and positioned for agriculture in terms of animal husbandry, crop production, aquaculture, and other ways of food security. The Minister of Information on the meeting, he says that there are many other things that they discuss, especially with security, and that's not something that they can discuss on camera, but that these are things that they are looking to make sure that security is brought back in that state.
Our yesterday's hot topic about the frosty relationship between the governor of Lagos State and the Speaker Obasa, and the Speaker statement yesterday in reply to the question on why the State Assembly rejected the nominees. He said that the House came up with a resolution which the executive did not carry out. Nobody has noticed anybody, and that's what he said, that the things that they heard, the information that they have that made them reject the speakers, these nominees, is an information that they will not reveal. That they will not reveal the information, and there's no pressure that will make them reveal the information. He said that he is a politician, and he said, so I am trying to protect my party. I will continue to do that. We're not going to sacrifice service to our people in the name of technocrats. No. I'm wondering who our people is. Is it the political party or the people of Lagos? He said, we have said no, and it remains so. If there is any reason for us to reverse our decision, if there is a germane and convincing reason, I think we will, but not by threats. We are politicians. If not for us, technocrats will not be able to be appointed. It was due to our success that they got appointed. And to our estimation, if they have not done well, I think we have the right to say no. And we have said no. So that was me quoting our Lagos State Speaker, Obasa, and the some other lawmaker that were speaking in support of the stands by the Lagos House of Assembly said that there are some local government that have contributed a lot of votes, that Limosho contributed 87,000 votes, and Agege, Ifakojaye, Kushofe, and these areas are mostly neglected when it comes to getting commissioners and appointments. He also mentioned the fact that there are, it's not a battle for supremacy or anything, that this is not a fight, it's not a decision regarding whether we are a citizen or not a citizen. It's just that lawmakers need to protect the interest of the citizens.
Okay.
So I have the refuse dump on Apapa-Oshodi Expressway. We would recall how much was spent on fixing that road, and the Minister of Works, Senator David Umahi, visited Lagos yesterday and found out that the median is now currently used as a refuse dump site. Very gory and so irritating, and he was really, really disappointed in that, and he urged that Lagosians should take care and please do the right thing most times. And we see this not just on that road, in other parts of Lagos where there are refuse dump on the road as against doing the proper thing by bagging them. And he also went on to say that the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway would be finally completed by mid-September, which is a few weeks from now, like between 2 or 3 weeks. We hope that we can hold that because school is resuming and some of us ply that route to take our children to school. So I hope that will be sorted. Okay,
that is all we can take on Front Page Review. When we return, we bring in our sponsored segments. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're going to be talking about the arrest. The Delta State Police Command has vowed to prosecute suspects arrested during a gay wedding between Daniel Pius M., the groom, age 22 years old, and Maxwell Ohonoho, bride, male, and age 20 years. No fewer than 67 suspected were arrested at the venue of the wedding when a crack team of police operatives stormed the event. Meanwhile, back in 2014, former President Goodluck Jonathan had signed a bill that criminalizes same-sex relationships, defying Western pressure over the gay rights and provoking U.S. criticism. The bill, if you recall, contains 14 years penalty, prison, and bans gay marriage and same amorous relationships and membership of gay rights groups. Now, later on the show, we'll be having the spokesperson of the police, Delta State Police Command, DSP Bright Edafe, to give us some update. But first, I'd like to hear the ladies' views on it. And you can also call us on the numbers on your screen. You can call us... the numbers on the screen, 080. Let's get the numbers for you. 080-764-1679-09024-16440. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read the tweets. All right, so we know gay rights is outlawed in Nigeria. Same-sex marriage is outlawed in Nigeria. There's no conversation concerning that.
Yeah, so
But the real conversation is the fact that youngsters, 22, 20 years old, were caught having that same-sex marriage per event in Delta State. And then they were paraded, and many were calling for their arrest and saying that they should be publicly disgraced, as they have been done already. But what are your general thoughts on this? Although some of them were interviewed and they said that it wasn't a wedding, they were some of them are drag queens. I'm not sure if the law specifically says something about being a drag queen or dressing like a man or dressing like a woman, cross-dressing. I'm not sure if the law is quite specific on that, but I'll check it again. But the point is, what are your thoughts on this? And do you agree with what the government is doing concerning that? Toby, would like to start, or?
When I saw this news yesterday, I had to speak with a young person living with me. I said, please, what's the definition of marriage again? And she said, it is a legal union between a man and a woman that makes them husband and wife. So when we say gay marriage, it alters the definition of saying, of what marriage is. And that's kind of like contradictive. And so, for these people, I look at it sometimes. When I see people like this, I kind of feel pity for them because I know that if they know better, they would do better in instances like this. But at the end of the day, in this kind of situation, know the laws of the land. Since 2014, there was a law put in place by the former president saying that same-sex marriage is a no-no. And now look at this. The police was very swift, I would give credit to them. But then, are there other weddings that have gone on like this without being in the public space over the time?
Okay.
So for me, it is, it's illegal, obviously we know. So what they did was commit a crime. It is illegal according to the law that what was signed by former president in 2014 says that the bill gives a penalty of up to 14 years if you are found in a same-sex relationship or group or advocating for gay rights. So these people were committing one, marriage. They gathered in a group and they were promoting gay rights. So it's not a case of whether I feel like, oh, is it right, is it wrong, should they have freedom, should they do? Point is, it is illegal in Nigeria, and what they did was to disobey that law. And they did it publicly. So I actually have seen a few couples, same-sex relationships in Nigeria on social media, but they never publicized their marriage. They got married outside the country, came back to Nigeria, and they just post pictures. You would just assume these people are friends. But those, when you see, you will read the room and you know that there's more to this relationship. Yes, I follow a lady, I follow her on Instagram, and I followed her because she was in the media before. And suddenly I saw more to it. So there are two things here. Even when you want to do what is wrong, you don't have the respect of the law to do it in such a brazen way. So I totally support making an example of this entire bunch of people. Not only did they disobey the law, they need to become a scapegoat. So yes, you face your 14 years in prison, but then set a precedent so that we don't see, because whatever you permit or you let slide, you would see more of it in the society.
All right, I get that, Tokwe, but see, let me come to you, Mariam. I worry because we sometimes cherry pick when we want to discuss human rights, what people have rights to do. So, for example, as you said, yes, the law has a stance, but these are Nigerians. These are citizens. These are people who have exactly the same rights as heterosexuals. They have a right to gather. Yes, albeit their act is illegal, but should they have been paraded the way they were paraded? Should they have been embarrassed and disgraced where you are seeing their faces, to the world? Because the truth is that, yes, I catch you, even criminals I would have thought that there was a law against even parading criminals. Because the idea is that, yes, you catch them, but should you embarrass them publicly where everybody's seeing them and now making a comment, and then we can identify, oh, he's gay, oh, you know, was that right on the side of the police to do?
You know, the honest truth is this conversation is a tough conversation to have as a Christian, as a Nigerian in 2023. It's tough because we know how, if we're to look at it globally, where, especially, let me not say global, Western, where the West is leaning towards, where we're saying human rights is important and everybody's allowed their rights. But as a Christian, many of us know that this is not a lifestyle that is approved anywhere. And for some reason, being a Christian, you even see it as the worst sin ever. So we come from Nigeria where we're highly conservative and we lean either towards Islam or Christianity. And so this is unacceptable, even on a moral or ethical grounds. Then we now have the law to back it up. And so some people would have the conversation of saying, where I understand where you're coming from, which is at least they're still human beings. They should have been given the respect as human beings. They should still have been given dignity. Yes, you have broken the law, right, in converging, but it was not murder. It was not theft. You converge in a way that you are not meant to converge. Is there a better way that this could have been handled? But then, this is Nigeria. This is something that a lot of us find very uncomfortable. And so this may be the police way of sending a message and saying, if we find you gathering like this, we will embarrass you. Because if we don't, if we were to deal with it in secret, you may think it's okay. And then obviously, I'm looking at the group of people and the age of the people that were in that. They are obviously not conversant with the law. They don't understand that there is implications. And so unless something as embarrassing or as public as what happened to them is done, many people would still think that they can get away with it. How is it that sometimes we're having conversations and then younger people will say something and I'm like, you mean you're not aware that this is...
You don't read,
they don't
follow the news.
You don't follow the news, nothing. You're just living and vibing and going off. So based on that, I think that human beings should be treated with respect. I feel, yes, they did something unlawful, but I feel like there's a more respectful, humane way than this could have been dealt with.
Also, so now we've established the law and our initial thoughts. But the real conversation is that, are we being hypocritical as a nation? Because this community exists whether we want to believe it or not. They live amongst us, and many of us are carrying our small, precious pickings to the West. For university, you are constantly carrying them at the age of 14 or 16, and their mind is still impressionable. They are still building their mentality. And we are carrying these 16-year-olds to America, to Canada, to all these countries for their university degrees. Their minds will be influenced by their community. So you are here criticizing a bunch of gay community. But the truth is that your children, your children's children, everybody around you, they are identified. All identified. They might not join them, but they have totally, completely identified. And we are here saying we want young people in governance. We want young people. We want to bring, these are fresh ideas. Whether you like it or not, you're going to get lawmakers very soon. We're already having a 36-year-old minister. Very soon, we're going to have 36-year-old commissioners. 36-year-old that are coming from the abroad with this mentality, more exposed mentality. So should those of us who are conservative start preparing our mind of the future, for the future?
So I feel that, one, Nigeria is an hypocritical society. We know. We have extremely, in many areas, don't spray money. The politicians are spraying money. They write the law, don't spray. We all, we know, and we still do what we want to do. Don't just be caught, that kind of thing. So that's the kind of society that we are. This is not the first one. There are many other examples of how our hypocrisy plays out in real life. So that on one side. On the other side is the fact that we are raising global children. And our global children, small children, are already being indoctrinated into this world. So I never had a conversation regarding same-sex with my children for the longest of times. And I think I mentioned it here. And people were like, you'll be shocked that they already know. Guess what? When I had the conversation, my kids already knew. They were 8. They knew about same-sex relationships, and they knew that they are human beings and they should not be discriminated against. How did they know that? Cartoons. The cartoons are already, on our current, on Twitter right now, on YouTube, People are like, God forbid, Mariah is supporting them. Go and have conversation with your children and find out if they will support this law. You'll be shocked that if you talk to the children, your 5 to 15-year-old will say, I know this is wrong, but I don't think that we should be discriminating against them. They have been programmed. So we are going to get there. This commercial we're having, that we're talking like this, they had things like this 50 years ago in America, when it was still illegal. Yeah. So we must realize that the world is evolving. We cannot choose that we want to take technology and we're going to avoid this one. Let us now decide on how we're going to approach it. As a parent, I realize that I'm not going to hide it from my children. These things happen. Yeah. But this is not the way God designed us to be. God did not make a mistake when he created you and he gave you a specific sex and a gender and a body feature biologically that fits it. So when I educate my children and I release them into the world, I use prayer to back them up and hope that they continue in that line.
Let me let you jump in here if I go on a break.
I actually have a friend we grew up together attending campouts, but somewhere along the line she was raped. And so it changed her orientation about life, about men. And so now she's
identifying as...
She has a girlfriend. Like, she even married legally. I mean, she got married, she went out of the country to get married. She came back, her grandparents, because she puts her story out, they found it difficult at first to accept her or not, but eventually they did. And I now imagine if that kind of child she had a daughter. Now, this daughter is now in the class of my child. And so my child is coming to say, oh, my friend's mommy and mommy, you know, it's...
You're right. We're not very accustomed to it.
But it's happening already.
One of the reasons why YourView exists is to present conversations like this to the world, to Nigerians. And listen, as much as it's against our religion, it's against our law, but because the world, you cannot pick and choose what you want from the West. We are picking what we want, what we don't want. But let me go on a break. Come back, we open our phone line. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So to get more clarity on the arrest that happened in Delta State, we have with us the spokesperson of the Delta State Police Command, DSP Bright Edafe. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you for joining us. Now, so just give us again an update. They were caught, the young men you arrested, the gay men that you arrested yesterday. How did you get the report of the activities they were doing?
Okay, I happened at about 9 p.m. of the... You know, in our usual part, we can take proactive focusing at the top and patrol. So on that night, the policeman intercepted this young man dressed as a man. So upon intercepting him, he initially claimed that he is an actor who came from Lagos to shoot a movie here in Delta, that is in Warri precisely. But his explanation was not convincing, so they took him into custody and interrogated him further, where he eventually admitted that he belongs to these gay societies and they are having a ceremony at a particular hotel along that Refinery Road. So the DPO led his men, although they waited, because he told us that the party started at 9. So the DPO waited till about 2 a.m. midnight of the 28th of August. They now stormed the hotel. Lo and behold, they saw over 100 persons gathered, most of them dressed as women. And the amazing part of it was that the two of them were dressed as couple. Whether they were getting married or they were having a reception, that remains to be seen. But what we saw, like what we displayed on the TV now, was obvious. So they were all rounded up. Initially, about 100 and something was arrested, but after proper screening, we have about 67 of them left. And most of them, eyewitnesses, and some of them have given us very useful information. In fact, the video you just displayed was one of the suspects told us that while they were, I'm innocent, I'm not part of them, but while they were doing it, I had a video of what they were doing. So we now told him to come. He showed us the video, which we have taken as part of our evidence. And for members of the public not to be misled, that was why I had to make that video public, because some of them were denying that they were on a beauty giant fashion parade. What we saw is obvious. So when someone said that is fashion parade, you wonder what kind of fashion parade is that?
Okay.
Yes, so some people have said, you know, that the way they were paraded is inhumane, you know, that they still have their human rights. We have talked many times about the way that we parade even criminals. We've seen major criminals, they block their faces, they cover them, you know, you try and usher them quickly into the vehicle waiting, but they were paraded. And we're wondering if that is is normal standard to do that. And don't you think it's an abuse of their human rights?
Well, I would want to argue that it may be right to try to cover their identity. I'm not disputing that. But we cannot say it is out of place. Because even in court, where there will be so many persons, I have hardly seen an accused that will be on the dock with his face covered. I really don't want us to leave the fact in issue, because I don't want us to divert the fact in issue, because it's a very serious issue. Let me tell you something that transpired on that day when we were parading the suspect. A young guy who came to report another matter at the division was accusing one of them that this guy has been molesting young boys in their street. He kept on saying it, that he has raped over 3 or 4 different boys in their street. These are underage kids that I'm talking about. So it's a very serious issue. And while I understand that these people belong to a certain group or they belong to different families, I want us to understand that if the police does not enforce and preserve the law, we are not very careful about it, Nigerians that I know might start taking laws into their hands. There are people who are just watching to see what the police will do. So I want us to be very careful about it, because what I saw that day in the Ekpan Police Station, if we were not careful enough or allow the gate to open, say let them come out, the people will lead them to death. So now that we've gotten them into custody, I believe we should all we can to see that they face justice and what the punishment should be awarded, so that people will take a leap from it to the end that this is not allowed, there is a law against it. Some Nigerians don't even know there is a law against it. I have to even make, at one time, I have to make the law public to know that, yes, in 2014, the president then approved that bill that was passed by the National Assembly.
Okay.
So the conversation we just had has given more insight to a bit of a context, especially when you were answering Mariam's question regarding the fact that some of these people might be what you call initiation. You know, when we have cult groups in the universities, people to join a cult are made to commit a crime. I would like to find out from you if there is an are we trying to investigate the other criminal context attached to this group of people, or number one, are we assuming those criminal context? Then number two, the people that are in, a few of them cross-dressed. Are we going to be prosecuting those that cross-dressed? Is there a law against cross-dressing? So those are the different angles I wanted to find out in terms of the real criminal, taking them to court.
Okay, the cross-dressing is not an offense per se for now, to my knowledge. That's why, if I would have the time, I would have to through a section of that law that says you may not be the person who took part, who is being married to a same-sex person. However, if you support, if you aid, if you are there, it's also an offense. Okay. It's an offense that they go in for 10 years imprisonment. Wow. So that is why we are that is why we are keeping others. And some of them they have also given us information, useful statement. They are actually gay. I think there was one I watched where the guy was saying, my parents don't even know that I am gay. Admitting alone that he is gay is already an issue. You understand? So it is not just about the cross-dressing. Initially, the cross-dressing was not an issue, but getting there to discover that they were having a gay marriage, it became a very serious issue. In fact, I took it personally. I had to leave Asaba from Asaba to Ekpan, where I paraded them in about 3 hours. I had to leave Asaba 6 a.m. that morning to go and parade them because I want the world, Nigerians, to see what is happening. I want parents to see what is happening. Like what your colleague was saying a while ago, that she has made it a point of duty to talk to her kids about it. That is what parents should do. Talk to them. Let them know from, it's not, in fact, not just talking to them. Schools should also take it seriously. I don't think it will get to a time in Nigeria where this will be accepted. I don't know, I'm not God. But I don't see it happening because Nigeria is a certain country. We have our culture, we have our forms that we take very seriously.
All right, let me get a question for you. Go ahead.
While you were speaking, your explanation just brought back the quote that says, objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. We see that on vehicle mirrors. And thinking, I'm wondering what we can do as citizens. I know in your last statement, you mentioned that we should have conversations with the children, but you know, that seems to be the very go-to solution that a lot of people would say. Are there more, especially looking at it from the lens of a police officer?
Come again with your last point.
I said, especially looking at it from the lens of a police officer. What can we do aside speaking to our children about it?
Okay, we have to let the public know that in Nigeria, firstly, I was arguing with a friend who felt they should be talked to, that they should have mental evaluation. But my point is, if we were discussing this before 2013, 2014, it would have been a different case. Now it is a law that we are duty bound to obey. We just have to obey. So we need to let our kids, our children know, our youth to know that if you do this, you stand the risk of spending 40 years in prison. That is, nobody wants his or her freedom to be taken away from each or herself. You understand? So that's key too. But the most important thing, not speaking as a policeman, speaking as a concerned Nigeria, we have to do our homework. It starts from the home, to our schools, to our churches. Whatever opportunity we have to condemn this and let them know that it is wrong, not just that it is wrong, in Nigeria, it is an offense. People can condemn rape because it is an offense. I don't think we cannot condemn homosexuality.
Let me come in
also
here.
An offense.
Let me come in here, sir, because I didn't get you clearly when you discussed the cross-dressing part, because I'm reading the law here, and the law doesn't directly talk about cross-dressers. So obviously, it doesn't cover. I'm just saying, but if I read out the law here. So the point, therefore, is that someone like a Bobrisky and the others who are popular cross-dressers, the fact that they dress like a woman is not a crime. Just I want you to verify that. Well, Bobrisky has not been caught in the gathering of gay people. He hasn't been caught marrying another gay person. He hasn't been caught in an amorous relationship with another gay person. That's why he's there. But because he's dressing as a woman it's not a crime. Just get that right. Let me clarify that or confirm that, please.
Well, this is subject to correction. I want to be very clear on that. For now, as of this very moment, I am not sure cross-dressing is an offense. You understand? That is why I said we are not keeping them because of cross-dressing. We are keeping them because of the other section of the law that says when you aid and abet in same-sex marriage, if found guilty in court, that person can go in for 10 years imprisonment. But for now, I cannot say for a fact that cross-dressing is an offense or not. But by what we are seeing today, I believe it is an offense. That's risky and cool. Arrested now. So I can say now that cross-dressing is not entirely an offense. However, I believe that someday the National Assembly will sit and also address that, because it can also to what we are seeing today.
Okay, so you mentioned aiding and abetting a lot, and I was wondering where they gathered was in a hotel. Is the hotel complicit, or wherever it is that they gathered, complicit in the gathering for having them together?
Definitely. The manager of that hotel is also in custody. We just do not have the time to parade him He's also in custody.
Okay,
Okay, go ahead.
I'm happy about the fact that we are getting more information about the gaps in the public doesn't have this information, and it's important that the police gives a lot of sensitization to people so that they know what they are doing, the part they are playing in how this plays out. You mentioned a case of somebody being accused of molesting young boys in their area or rape taking place as well. What would you, how can you help someone who is feeling like they've been molested, a boy has been molested? What would be the process of them getting justice in such cases?
Okay. I'll let you address that, but because I have to wrap up with you. So you can take the issue of possible molestation, and also what's going to happen to these guys, 67 of them, are they going to pay a fine, they're going to be in prison, are they going to take it to court? What exactly is the next step? You can just wrap up with that.
Okay, for those who have suffered from molestation, the challenge we are having is that most of them don't want to come forward because of the stigma. But we should ignore this stigma and face it. We have to face it and ensure that these persons, if found guilty, they should be sent to prison if found guilty. Then for what will happen to the 67 suspects, we are in the process of charging them to court. As I speak with you, we already have a remand warrant to keep them in police custody for now because we have some other facts that we also need to uncover, some more evidence that we're also working on. We already have a remand warrant to that effect. But I believe that with God on our side and with the judiciary doing their job, because it's very key. It's not just for the police to take them to court. The judiciary also have to do their own part by ensuring that justice prevails. If justice prevails, I believe they will not spend less than 10 to 14 years in prison.
All right, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you joining us this morning on short notice. Thank you. We're speaking to DSP Bright Odafe of Delta State. Okay, we're going to go on a break now. When we come back, we continue with the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing the gay marriage and the gay bust that happened in Delta State. And we'd like to open our phone lines for our viewers to call in and share their own views with us. You can call us on 081-076-41679, 090-241-63440. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. And also we get some messages on YouTube. So, Toby, you want to start?
Grace Fabola says, Nigerians are so quick to imitate cultures from the West, good or bad. Nothing wrong with keeping the nation conservative. Toyin Johnson Akomolafe says, if you throw stones into the market, they may eat your loved ones. No one is innocent. It has even been established that most critics are ardent followers of this and are into it.
Let me take this call from Abimbola, calling from Abuli Ekpan. Good morning, Abimbola.
I'm listening to what you ladies have been saying concerning these gay marriages and those that were arrested. And I love Miriam's stand on that position. But what I want to contribute this morning is, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Right. The name is Abimbola, like I said. The topic this morning about gay marriages and those that were arrested in Delta yesterday, I don't want people to get confused because if we don't say, if the police don't take decisive measure now, this will escalate in future. When Obama was in control in America, and that was the time our former president Jonathan signed the law, prohibiting this kind of atrocity. And the question I asked, and I placed on the President Obama's website that time, I don't know whether he read it or not, was 100 years ago, what was the position of gay people in America? If you are known as gay 100 years ago in America, they were executed publicly. If it was wrong then, Why is it right now? And whatever we take in Africa, I live in England. I'm only in Nigeria, I'm not living. I live in England. I don't know whether you are one of LB or
LGBTQ.
whatever
Yes.
they come now, they say now. This is crazy. And I'm really shocked that the present Pope adopted and agreed with them. And they were even trying to change some wordings of God in the Bible because if you mentioned something about
Right.
Christianity, oh no, sorry, Sophia mentioned something about
There's something called, we're evolving. There's something called enlightenment. There was a time that when you commit a crime, you get hanged.
Straight up.
There's a time when something happens, they take you to a priest for exorcism. Times have changed. Things happen. People are more enlightened. As knowledge is growing, people are changing. So while the Western world has moved to a certain level, and Africa and other parts of the world, we are still working towards approaching that. So we understand that they used to kill gay people 100 years ago in the US. Because of enlightenment or whatever it is, they are now seeing them as human beings, as heterosexuals. That's their society. We are not there yet in Africa, no doubt about it. But however, should we as a society pretend it doesn't exist? Should we as a society be so conservative, not opening a window to say, you guys are there, we know you're there, we don't like what you're doing, but I would rather create a system where I know you exist there, but don't bring it here. I don't, because the truth is, as I said earlier, and I'd like to come to you, Toby, the truth is, we have all opened our doors for the Western culture in different ways. All of us are jackpot to Canada. And we're having children are born in this system, and you guys have not answered that question. I've raised the concern that all our children are abroad now, and they're going to have the mindset. This Auntie Bimbola, who is in London, her children probably are not adverse to this act. They're definitely not gay, but they will probably have gay friends. Now, her children will probably come back to Nigeria at some point to come and be a governor and help us to move Nigeria forward. And they will be opening up. So my point is that should we as conservative Nigerians begin to understand the world we live in? We don't accept everything, but how do we therefore understand it, but yet retain ours? To be any insight, I should go to talk first. I'll come back to you. Go ahead.
So please, I understand the fact that the world would keep on evolving. There was a time when twins were seen as evil, and enlightenment got us to the point where we now realize that twins are not evil. To the point now we see twins and having multiple births as a blessing. So of course, evolution, enlightenment, more information would change who we are and how we perceive life. But it's a two-edged sword. As you get enlightened, you see good and you see evil, and sometimes that enlightenment opens up the room for more evil to fill our society. So when we say we are opening up ourselves to give gay rights, very soon somebody will come and say, pedophilia is, I don't know why I just find myself attracted to this thing. Just the same way the people that are in that site, homosexuality too, will say, it's not my own thing. They're already clamoring for pedophilia. Pedophiles are clamoring for a right to be able to express themselves as well.
Did you remember the senator that?
Yes. Pedophiles are also clamoring for the ability to engage in what is seen as bad before, and very soon we might start saying it as okay. How far are we going to go in this our evolving that we are evolving and permitting that we are permitting? So that's my own worry about drawing the line. Then another thing is we've gone from L to G to B to Q to plus to...
Not we,
they have gone from L to B to G to Q to plus to. They go like all the alphabets. Now they just say Alphabets Day, celebrating you can be anything, all the alphabets. So there's a level that we need to rein it in. I will always quote Kule Sorenyo, who said that the height of freedom is insanity. When we give this our freedom, let us do. You might be seeing a lot of insanity playing out in the name of freedom.
From I think it's Romeo, I believe. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good morning, Mariah.
Oh, Jide, you're live. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Mariah.
Morning. Very well.
Yeah, my regards to all the ladies. You see, my line of argument is this. Why are we trying to cover them? Why are you advocating that they should have blurred their face or something? If they are proud enough to be a gay, to conduct marriage in the public, why should we cover them? But I think we should expose them more so that they will serve as deterrent to the others. This is becoming alarming, and everything we do to discourage it must be done. If exposing them, ridiculing them will curtail the situation, then so let it be. Let it be. It's as simple as that. I don't know why Murray is trying to play. I want to believe you are trying to play the devil's advocate by saying that they are human beings, they are this, they are that. Yes, you know they are.
So, Mr. Gina, Mr. Gina, let me engage you for a second. So, you believe that as they are paraded, the truth is that if you allow them to parade a human being like that, God forbid your son gets arrested, he'll equally be paraded for something that he's not been convicted yet. So, the idea is that if we're going to do human rights, let human rights be universal for everybody, regardless of the crime you've committed, don't you think?
Madam, the point is this. Anyone above 18 that gets himself involved in something that he knows is criminal in nature, then should be ready, should be exposed. You should not be ashamed. In fact, I have...
Oh, yikes. You put yourself on hold. Thank you very much, Mr. Jide, for your views. Let me come to you, Toby. Your thoughts on this whole thing?
There was this video I saw a few weeks back where these LGBTQ people were protesting, or they were going for a rally, and the next thing they were saying, "We are coming for your children. We are coming for your children." And it sounded as if it was off.
An invasion.
Yes, an invasion. And the way they were just screaming it. And that was a wake-up call for me to say that this thing is coming closer. And so somebody gifted my son a rainbow sandal, and we would know that their logo is like a rainbow color. And when I saw it at first, I was like, my son will never wear it. Remember, my son is 4 years old. And I said he would never wear it. And I thought about it and said, him not wearing it, it should not be my way of thinking, because outside, it would get some people that would give him those kind of things. And you know what I did? I said to him that, see, the initial thought of rainbow, it was when God came, and I told him the Noah story and how rainbow signifies the sign of God saying that he would never destroy the earth. So that's his own first impression. So even if he sees it out, he knows that there is another higher conversation beyond what is being portrayed out. And I think that the conversation, we cannot overestimate the fact that we need to keep informing our children about the realities on ground, because somehow they will get to know about it.
Let me go on a quick break because there's another angle I'd like to take this to. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing the arrest of this gay rights members, and the wedding party that happened in Delta State. Let me come to Mariam. What are your thoughts as we've been discussing on this matter?
So my own conversation going forward, having listened to the police officer, is that then what? In the 10 years that they will be locked up, 14 years that they will be locked up, what would they be getting? Is it we lock you up and then 14 years we release you as what kind of people? Like change from that behavior? Are you going to be getting any sort of counseling, therapy while in prison? So we cannot just lock, it doesn't end when you lock someone up. So we need to start thinking about that. And then also about, let's put them out and parade them so that it can serve as deterrent. I think we need to think about how it even happens in the first place. Just shaming them or putting them out in public, is that how it starts? Is that how it ends, really? I just feel that we need to think deeper in how people like this become people like that, and what we can do from the beginning of it, that's where it can serve as a deterrent. Some people have said to us, I was raped as a child by a man. How do we treat pedophilias? Do we cover it up as a society? Don't let the world know? So what part are we playing when it comes to that way? If someone says, I was just born this way, it's a certain way I was born, what sort of conversation are we having with people at such a young age? We are completely closing that line of conversation. We can never even have this conversation. Meanwhile, somebody is saying, I realized it when I was 6 years old, but I could not have a conversation with anyone around me because we dared not have that conversation. So if we're going to handle this, let's handle it well. We cannot carry a bunch of Nigerians, lock them up and say, we've thrown away the key. 10 years later, we release them as fully grown, whoever they are.
We put it together, hanging out, getting confirmed.
So what are we doing?
Let me take this call, I believe, from Melville. Thanks for calling. You're live.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Yes. I'm just wondering, have you guys thought about a syndicate running this? What if it's a way? What's a way of a syndicate trying to get these people to depart to Europe?
Syndicate.
Because they are gay. Because the law, as you say, is against it, society is against it. So there's a new way to legally depart. Have you thought about it?
Okay, thank you, Melville. I didn't really get you very well.
No, he's talking about the fact that there could be a syndicate running this thing, promoting it. The Western world
got you, because they are heavily financed. They're heavily financed,
yes,
and they could be supporting this community.
They get opportunity to travel.
Yes. So there's a deeper issue that the government can actually deal with this. Yeah. But there's something that, let me read this comment from somebody. The person is anonymous. He said, I disagree with Murayo. UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia maintaining their values despite advancement in technology. Values can be upheld despite civilization. Qatar, despite hosting World Cup, did not allow gay practice. And I think this is a perfect comment to buttress what I was trying to achieve with the point I was trying to make. Africa hasn't totally come of age. Because if we have, we should be influencing the world on culture, morals, values, beliefs. But because we have somewhat allowed the West to influence us so much by accepting their culture in every way, who are we therefore now to start beginning to cherry pick what we want to take? Because these countries that we're identifying, they from the get-go have been able to retain who they are as a people. And please, I'd like to be corrected if I'm wrong. So their economy, their infrastructure, everything has defended them such that they don't even need the West. They don't need anything from the US. They are well contained to say, you know what, we don't believe in gay rights. But Nigeria, we tried to do that. I mean, even Barack Obama was with the
conversation with former president.
With Jonathan. You know, because we are somewhat at the mercy of the West in a lot of ways. We are at their mercy. So who are we now to be saying, oh, we want to pick? So we are, sorry, what did you say?
Who pays the piper?
Exactly. So they can talk because nobody's paying their piper. They are paying their piper. But we are dependent a lot on this relationship. So we manage how. So South Africa will do their own. We are important. We believe in this. The West Africa will do their own. East Africa, we are all gradually picking what we want from the West. So therefore, if we are going to be like UAE, it's not just a decision by somebody's law. It's about being economically independent somewhat. That we can say, you know what, we are exporting our culture. Fela was singing to the world, and this music is still accepted.
There's a Yoruba
We are drinking, we are taking, like, we're making movies. Why is Jagun Jagun really popular? Because it's cultural.
Yeah.
We make all these English Nollywood movies because we want to be like Oyinbo movies.
You cannot do it well.
We are bringing the culture to ourselves. So the point is that the real conversation is how do we fix it inside out? Not outside in.
So there are two sides to the story. There's a Yoruba proverb that says, "Ti owo towo eko bai ti tada, you can only be rekuto pababai." That means if your hand cannot hold the cutlass well, literal meaning, you can't defend your father's death because you are not strong enough. So the economic part is extremely important. That until you might know what is right from what is wrong, but you will take whatever they throw at you because you are not economically strong enough. You've not matured to the level to defend yourself. As a country, we're somewhat in that space where people can pressure us to do some things because we want to get loans from them and all of that. There's a second part I want to mention, though, but let me take your call.
Kelechi from Shasha, thanks for calling. You're live.
Mariah and good morning.
You're live. Go ahead. Yes, we can. Go ahead, please.
Okay, Mariah, see, let me put it this way. Originally, experts say that nothing in life is neither good nor bad. what makes something good or bad is its implication and the perception of people. Do you understand? Now, Toku said something about 1990 revolution. She was very, very much right. Yeah, we are getting there. But let's look at it critically. What constitutes marriage? I thought what constitutes marriage. Hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but on the studio is a bit blurry, but I'm sure the viewers can hear you. Go ahead, please.
I said, I'm asking now, what constitutes marriage? I thought for marriage to be constituted, there must be a statutory personality, either in Christianity, either in religion, or in the rule of law. In religion, just like in Christianity, you have a priest presiding over this marriage. That's what makes it legal. Now, in law, you have maybe a legalist presiding over law. Now, in the case of these people, is there any statutory personality, either in religion or in law, presiding over what they are doing? If there is not, as far as I'm concerned, they didn't commit any offense.
All right. And thank you very much, Khalid. And we
have customary. There's customary law. We were saying that you don't need. It's not only church.
I can't hear.
It's not only church and it's not only religious and legal. Traditional wedding is also recognized. If you marry traditionally, it can be recognized, and your parents might not be there. Family members are there, and they hand you over to the person. You're already married to that person. Okay. I was going to say that there's a group of people that will say that this is not an imported thing. That even the Bible quotes that back then there were people that identified as homosexuals in the Bible in historical times. Yeah. And even within our culture, yes, we call it abomination, but people have been doing it before we became West. It's not a Western thing. Yes, the Western influence might be that we now want to make it open.
Amplified it.
Legal. Yeah. But it's always been there and seen as, do you know that man? Do you know that woman? They do this kind of thing. So we see it that it's being done, but we see it as a taboo that is being carried out. What we don't want is for that taboo to now become, I can do it because I am free to do it. I have freedom of my human rights to do whatever I want to do. No, your human rights ends where my own human rights starts, or we have to respect each other. That's what we're hoping to achieve. And I like the Qatar example. It's a very good one.
Okay. All right, I thought you were going to jump in.
Yes, I was just reading some articles and would see, just to buttress your point, that even in 2019, when Joe Biden was the former U.S. vice president, he had also threatened to withdraw foreign aids from countries that discriminate against LGBTQ people. And so that's just to show really that until we begin to have our own as a country, we would still be dancing to the piping tune of other countries that are more developed and that we depend on.
Let's take a few comments on social media. Do we have anyone, Mariam, there? Let's take a few comments.
So the comments are like boom, boom, boom. They are bashing.
Yeah. It's okay, please read the bashing. If the bashing is about me, it's okay. Go ahead.
Somebody said, this is good. Somebody said, maybe it's time Nigeria tried Mariam's approach. That's the approach of having a conversation about it. So another person is saying, Africa cannot legalize it because it has been practiced for as long as Africa has existed. Yes, it has. He said, yes, it has been there. Somebody else is buttressing that yes, it has been there, but it was not called. There was no word for homosexuality in Yoruba, Hausa, or Igbo. Why? Because ancient Africans learned from the story of destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Then another person was also saying they did it in their closets. Let it remain within their closets, not popular. Why are we trying to protect people who are in this category?
But don't you find it interesting how we, this sanctimonious nation, how we permit certain things and don't permit other things?
Multiple marriage. You can marry 5 wives or 6 wives.
So it's like it's quite interesting. When you read all the comments, you're thinking, wow, it just helps you to understand where we are as a people mentally.
We are hypocritical. Let's just leave that matter.
Because when you see that, because when you're on social media and you're getting depressed over somebody said something about me, you're about to commit suicide.
But the next minute you are yabbing.
But I'm just saying that when you see that these are the kind of people that are commenting, you understand that, okay, even you that are saying, better appreciate yourself better. Am I making sense here?
So, honestly, Mariah, if you see if you have any idea of the kind of negative comments that you trying to balance the show has been getting on YouTube, you wonder that in your mind, you're a good person. You watch the show, you see that she's trying to balance the conversation, and you come on YouTube in the name of supporting your own belief, and you type insult. Who are you? Why?
Let me take this call from Ade.
Dopamine fix for many of them.
Thanks for calling. Ade, go ahead. You're live. Good morning.
Good morning, ladies. Yes. Yes, we're in the end time now. Even in UK here, they are targeting people. I'm telling you, because they are introducing to primary school to be teaching them man and man from nursery on the street. Our process in Manchester this last year or so. So imagine if Uganda passed a death in Uganda. It's an arbitrary. In our country, it should be death penalty. Imagine you, the teacher, put lesson time in your house to keep your children, and you left your house. And that teacher is, and you have 2 sons. What will happen? So let's see about the future, not now. So this person, they are not there. It should be death like Uganda. Whatever we get there. For the future of our children. So people in you that they are practicing, I can't say young people. Just like you said.
Thank you very much, Ade.
You know what? I wonder how Nigerians in diaspora are handling this or raising their children. I've heard stories of, Nigerian students abroad who, especially those who've come from Nigeria, and they say that they go into class and they're teaching them these things, and they say, no, I don't believe in that, or they criticize it and they get a repercussion for criticizing it in other countries. What is it that Nigerians, what will you do as a Nigerian living abroad, knowing that this is the culture there and you do not want that of your children? Do you decide based on that moral standard, I will come home where I know that these values are better entrenched? Or you leave your child there and hope that somehow they don't interact with these people, they don't become friends with these people? Because you mentioned that you will be friends with them. You will get to know them for who they are as a person before you know about their sexual orientation.
You know, my brother,
so what do we do with that sort of information? And then there's another thing I've been being careful to talk about, which is there's some of our leaders where people have pointed towards that their children living abroad are living these lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot.
Some of them their voices are loud against this, but they have the wherewithal, the influence and the money and the resources to send their children to this country so that they can live their lives.
Rumor has it, rumor has that some of these lawmakers who actually fought for this bill, they're having these issues, struggles with their own kids because they are saying, you know what, if my children have done it, but I must stop.
Openly living abroad like that.
No, but I wanted to hear, because I know that you have nieces and nephews abroad and you live there, even though when you lived there it wasn't legal yet.
No, I think it was. They had a I told you I had a gay roommate. I had what's his name? I can't remember his name. We had in the same room at some point. These are people that, but the exposure you have is that, listen, live and let live. Allow everybody. My brother was telling me recently he flew to Haiti for a gay wedding. His friends, one of his staff. That's the life. He had to go there. So that's where we live. All of us are living abroad. So my point is that personally, I'm a Christian, and I pray I wouldn't have to have this conversation with anybody around me by God's pressure. We're all hoping. We have this conversation with our children. It's a prayer point. But I would not pretend like I'm not living in the world where I have to be faced with it. My child who's watching TV, I'm telling the child, because every series has it. Everyone I'm watching, you see, they're all there. So I'm explaining to my child. So it's good to know you're in a world where there will be choices to be made, and you have to choose right.
And I'm also afraid of this silence, of this, let's keep quiet about it. Especially,
God bless you,
situations where young girls are getting married to people who are closetly living this way, but they cannot open their mouths to say, because if you call them out, they're, the stigma. And so, what is better? Is it better to just hide them and keep quiet and pretend they don't exist, and then all the things that can come from that happens, or is it better to just know these are a group of people? This is how they live their lives. And if you are separate from them, you live differently from them. So there's no mistake of ending up with someone who that's their lifestyle. So Nigerian, we need to open our minds on how to address this. To just shout about it, to call people out about it, to stigmatize people is not enough. Arrest and lock them is not enough. We must chart a way for how we want to live with them or without them going forward.
I have a call from Majek. Thanks, Majek, for calling. You're live.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
You're doing a very wonderful job.
Thank you, sir.
By the way, I love the way what Mariah said earlier on, not too long ago now, that God forbid if you have anybody within your family that you will have to discuss with. That is the point where I'm going into. I mean, it's better imagined than experienced. I happen to have had a guy in my church who was trying to introduce that. I sent him away. And when I did, I'm not a pastor, I'm not anything, but I'm just an elder in the church. But I sent him away. Some parents came out, they didn't face me, they were saying it behind me, that why would I send somebody out? So on a Sunday, I went on the pulpit and explained to them what this guy was doing, and that was when they realized how he wanted to destroy their children. Would you and I love it for one of our children to be among those ones caught in Delta? This is not America, by the way. That is how America got into what it got to. We have morals in this country. When you say human rights, human rights, you know, well,
English.
Thank you very much, Mr. Majek.
He said, like play. That is how the Western world got to where they are. And that we're also like play doing it, that our children are getting spoiled because we're not correcting them appropriately. So he's talking about the fact that we should not...
How are we correcting them? That's the truth. How are we correcting them?
Because the instance he gave, sending the person out of church may not have been the best option because he would still...
What exactly?
But he didn't even explain what the person was doing.
Implied that the person, possibly the person was gay.
Yes.
So you send them out of church to what? So you protect your own small space, but that person is going out to probably do more. So how do we fix it?
So if a person realizes that they're gay or thinks that they are or struggling with issues like that and goes to their pastor, what should the pastor do?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the approach I feel. You mentioned it before, and we need to say it over and
What
over again.
if a teacher notices a child that is acting a certain way? What should the teacher do?
We don't talk about that part, and we need to prefer solution. It's easy to just castigate and banish.
Yes, I went to teen church on Sunday. A teen church invited me, and somebody came to meet me, and she said this. And the first thought in my mind was,
where will you
where
start
do
from?
I start this conversation from?
We have to wrap up the show. But you see, I'm glad where Toby took us because that's the truth. There are conversations to be had concerning this matter. As a nation, we can make a law and lock people up and throw them in. Or we face the conversation and say, okay, you know what? It is bad. Everybody as a nation, we are all against this matter. And then we put things in place. So we equip a teacher who is faced with this. We equip a pastor who is faced with it. We equip an imam, everybody who is faced with it, and say, okay, this is how we're going to address it and have a national stand on it, which is fine. The law is there, but who is readdressed? Because we still have a lot of these people in our community. So the conversations have to be had, and hopefully we'll continue at some point. Hopefully that's all we can take on this show, because I've always said on this show that one of our greatest issues are the middle class. Because it's the middle class that is bringing all these exposures to us. We are and I always yard boss that we are the ones that are seeing all these things and now bringing them in, because if you allow us to grow at our pace,
I'm not middle class.
We will not be
1%.
faced with this matter. I've always had that position, but that's all we can take on today's show. Have a great day. Tomorrow. Bye for now.